Hey guys, welcome into another Linux for Beginners tutorial, and in today's video I'm going to show you 15 commands that you need to understand and commands that you need to know if you want to jump on the Linux terminal. So if you want to know how to navigate, so this is just one of the quickest and easiest commands that you need to understand to jump your way into the Linux terminal. So I'm going to make sure that you understand each and every command that we're going to look at in this video, what it does and what it's used for, and also I'll point out some of the things that might be different if you're using a different Linux terminal. For example, how these packet managers are different. So these packet managers are for different Linux distributions. So depending on the Linux distribution that you are using, this is the only command that is going to be different in this tutorial. And if you do not have any Linux environment, I have a link to one of my tutorials where I show you how you can create your own virtual machine from scratch and how you can also jump into the Linux terminal. Okay, so let's get started. Open up your terminals. So for me, I'm using KDE Neon, so that's why my logo looks different, but we just need to open up our terminal or console, whatever is code on your machine. So I'll make this big, and also whatever I'll be demonstrating in today's tutorial, I'll make sure I'll do it on the graphical user interface, and also I'll make sure I do it on the terminal. So I'll show you on both how it's done. Okay, so for example here, our first command as you saw on our text file is the ls command. So that means list. So the way we can use that command is if I type in ls like that and press enter, as you can see it has listed everything in that directory. So if you see that squiggly line, that means the home directory. So meaning you're in your home directory. That's what that symbol means. So here in our home directory, as you can see, these are the things in our home directory. So if I show you from the graphical user interface, when I click file, as you can see now from here where it says file, in our home directory, this is exactly what is there. We have our desktop, as you can see desktop, which is the desktop there. We've got our documents, which is document there. So when you're using the ls command, it's just simply to list out or to show you contents in that directory. And also one of the cool things as well with the ls command, it can also show you hidden files. So the way you can do that is if I bring back the ls like that and I do a -a, that means show me everything, that is all. If I press enter, as you can see, most of these config files, cache, local, you're not seeing them. So in Linux, the way you have hidden files is any file with the dot at the beginning, that's a hidden file. So that's why we could not see it with just the ls command itself. So that's more about the ls command. So that's what you need to know about the ls command. And also now, if I just clear my screen, I do it again. So ls, our directory contents, as you can see here. So the way we would use the graphical user interface, you would click on documents, then you see what is in documents. But on the terminal, clicking on something or going into something, that's where the second option comes in on our list, which is cd. So that means change directory. So what cd does is simple, which is cd. So you say change directory, then you put a space and you give it the location of where you want to go. So for example, we want to go into documents. You would want to type in documents like that, as you can see, and press enter. And just as a side note, before we even go any further, Linux is case sensitive. So if I were to write documents with a small letter d, it wouldn't work. Okay, so I'll demonstrate that to you now. So I'll go back to the home directory. So now if I was to write this like that and press enter, as you can see, it will say it does not know or it can't find documents. So Linux is case sensitive, so keep that in mind. Copy the way it is written on your terminal, that's the way you write it. So when you press enter, as you can see, we are in documents. So if we do ls to list out directory content, if I press enter, as you can see, nothing has come up because this directory is empty. Okay, so this is empty. So we are going to jump in how you can create a file. So I'll show you from the graphical user interface and from the terminal itself. Okay, so now, so that we have something to play with, we can create a file. So here on my graphical user interface, I can just right click, then I can go here where it says new, and then I can create my text file. So I can say example. so example.txt, and I press enter. So as you can see, we have that file right here. Same thing here. Now if we use our ls command, here we've got our example.txt. So now we have the file here. So but how can we create the same file, or how can we create our own file using the terminal? So the way we can do that is simple. We need to use the touch command. So like that. So you can say touch and then what is the file name that you want to create. So for example, we want to create test file .txt. So if you are creating the file yourself on the terminal, you always want to put in the file extension. So that is important. You want to always put in the file extension, but also if I don't put the file extension, it will know it's a text file. But always just make sure you specify file extension. That is important. So now the way that is here, I can press enter, and as you can see, we have that file right here. It has appeared on our desktop, as you can see. So here we can see that file. So we recap. So we said the ls command helps us to view directory content. So ls, it will just help us to see what is in a directory. And also cd, that was our second command that we looked at. Cd helps us to change to a certain directory. So where do we want us to go? So in a graphical user interface, you would click with your mouse, cd, take it to be like that. So you want to say cd, so change directory, then space to where do you want it to go. So where do you want to go? So for example, we want to go to documents. You just type in documents like that, press enter. Then if you want to see what is in documents, we can just do ls enter, and we can see the two files that we have here. It's the same thing that we have here. Okay, then we also looked at the touch command. So we said the touch command is used to create files. If we want to create any file with the Linux terminal, we can use touch. So like I said, it's always important to specify the file extension or the file type. So for example, if I want to create an SSH file, it's just a matter of me saying, for example, .ssh, like that, press enter. So as you can see, the way the SSH file has come up, it looks different from the other regular files because the file extension or the file type is different. So for example, if I double click on this and I select, let's say that's for development, so it will open up like an text editor, so where you can write code. So as you can see, I even have GitHub and stuff, so I can write code in here, or I can write commands to execute every time maybe I restart my computer, what needs to happen and stuff like that. I can use this file. That's just some of the ways you can do it. So depending on what file you want to create, it's just a matter of putting in the name. So touch the name of the file, dot, then the file extension. But also there's something about this command that I want you to understand. If for example, if I want to create a file, so for example, I want to create a simple file, but I have a space in between. So for example, itc space, let's say study, right? So if I want that file to be itc space study dot, let's say txt, if I run this now, it will create two different files. It will create this as its own file and that as its own file. So this is important to understand. If you want all this to be one file or to be just one file name, you will need to put it in quotes. So what you want to do is go where you are starting, wrap everything in quotes like that. So that is to tell the system that that is one file. So like that's the way you want to write it, and that's one file. So if I press enter, and as you can see now, we have that file, itc space study, as you can see. But if I was not to put, for example, let's say like that, if I press enter, as you can see, we have this file separate. It doesn't have a file extension. As you can see, it's not showing the file extension because we did not specify here. And also we've got study, as you can see. So these two files have been created separate. So this is important. If you're creating a file with a space in between, always wrap it in quotes. Now let's say, for example, yes, we've been creating files. How do we delete the files? So that's what we're going to look at now. So how can I remove a file? So these are the files we want to remove. We want to remove itc and we want to remove study.txt. So the way we can do that is by using a simple command. So clear the screen, ls, to show what is there. So now the way we can remove from our terminal is very easy. So we just need to type in rm, as you know it stands for remove, then space what is a file we want to remove, itc, enter, and as you can see, the file is gone. We no longer have the file here. So that is to show you the file has been removed. So if we were to do an ls, as you can see, we no longer have the itc file. Same thing, any other file that we want to delete, we can use the same command. So rm, then which file do you want to remove? Study .txt, like that. Press enter, study is gone. So this is a great way of playing with a terminal. So you create something, you remove something, and also practicing makes you better. So rm on its own, rm with the file you want to remove will remove, but not this only works with files and not directories. So I'll also show you how you can delete a directory when we reach the point where we can create a directory. So don't be confused. A directory is simply a folder. So any folder, let's say any folder that you're seeing, we call it a directory in Linux. So depending on what term you want to be using, if I just say directory, I mean a folder. So if you're using with Windows, a folder is the same thing as a directory. So keep that in mind. I'll be using those terms interchangeably because they mean the same thing. So now we know how to check what is in a directory, and we know how to move to directory from directory, and also we know how to create files, and we know how to remove files. So those are important. But now, how do we create a folder? So let's say I want to create a folder, and in that folder I want to create new files. How do I do that? So that's where the MKDIR command comes in. So MKDIR, as you can see, as I've been saying, that stands for make directory. So it's just creating a directory. So you would say create a folder. That's what that is for. So now make directory. What's the name of the directory? So the name of the directory is the IT contents channel. That's what I want to name the folder. So I can press enter, and as you can see, even the icon is different, as you can see, because it's a folder. Okay, as you can see, this is a folder. So meaning I can double click to open it, and it's empty. Okay, so we have this folder, as you can see. So what do we need to do now? So let's say we want to create things into that folder. So we want to create files to go into that folder. Okay, we can either move these files, okay, into that folder, or we can cd into that file, into that directory, and create files from there. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can move these files into there, and also how you can create the files into that. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do here is cd. Okay, we want to cd into that directory. So cd, and then we've got itc, enter, and as you can see, we are now in documents, then itc. Okay, so in here we can create files like we said. So we can go here, double click, as you can see it's empty, and we can use our touch command, and we can create our file. So we can just say first file dot txt. So that means a text file. Press enter, we have our file right there. Okay, but now you might be asking yourself, but okay, from a terminal I know I've got these files outside. So if I say cd dot dot, so now this is where the new cd with spices comes in. Okay, so what this means, cd dot dot, that means go back one step. So it will go back one step back. So to remove this will be back in documents. Okay, so if I say cd dot dot, that means back one step. So if I press enter, as you can see right here, we are indeed in documents. I can do an ls to show you, and as you can see, we are back in documents. Okay, that's nice and that's important, right? Okay, so before we move the files from here into that, we need to know the path. Okay, we need to know the path. So as you saw, this was home, documents, then itc. That's a path. But you might not always remember the path, right? So this is where this nice command comes in, which is pwd. Pwd. If I press enter, as you can see, that's the path. So pwd just show you your current working directory. Okay, so pwd stands for print currently working directory. Okay, so meaning here right now I'm in what? I'm in that location. Okay, so if I was to cd back into this itc, it would have been /itc, like that. Okay, so now let's move these files into that folder since we know the path. Okay, so what we can do now is we can use the MV. As you know, it stands for move. So we are going to move this file here into this ITC file, into this ICT folder, sorry. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to type in MV, which is move. Then we are going to specify the file we want to move and to where. Okay, so if we want to move, for example, itc dot ssh like that, then to where. So now that's where the slash comes in, which is a forward slash. So now I can specify this location here. Okay, so if I want, I can just highlight this, right click, and I can go to copy. Then I can right click here and paste it there. Okay, so now what we can do now here is simple. We want one there. So we want to move this file, which is itc.ssh, to this location. So now to that location. So now what we want to do is specify ITC because this is that folder that we have right there. Okay, let's recap back a bit. There's too much information there. Okay, so the first thing that we did was we used the pwd command to know the current working directory of which we knew that we are in documents. Okay, so now we want to move these files, or we want to move that specific file into a different location. So what we did was we said mv, which is move what? itc dot ssh, which is this file, move it to this location. Okay, so it will move it into this location. So now what we do, if we press enter, as you can see, that file has been moved from documents. As you can see, there's no itc.ssh into this itc, as you can see there. Hope everyone is happy. If you have any questions, please don't forget, and also don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section. I will surely help you out. Okay, like we said, mv meaning move. Okay, we are moving whatever file we've said we want to move, or whatever folder we said we want to move, to what location. So that is important. We need to know what we are moving and to where. Okay, so that is very important as well. So we go back to our list. So I'll go back to the list, okay, so that we mark things. So here we've looked at the ls command, of which we say that is list, so it lists directory content. We've looked at cd and cd dot dot, which is with a dot dot meaning move one step backwards. Okay, and also we've looked at pwd, which only just prints out your current working directory. So if you are lost, you don't know where you are located, you can use the pwd to show you what is your current working directory. Okay, then we have also gone through the MKDIR, that means make directory, so that is used to create folders on the terminal. We'll still go through this one, but we've also looked at that, and we've also looked at CP, or we've also looked at touch, of which touch, this is the tool or the command we use to create files on a Linux terminal. Okay, so we've looked at move as well. So move just moves whatever you want to move to what directory or to what folder or to what place. Okay, and also rm, which is remove. We've also looked at remove. Okay, so now we have some of these other important tools like cp. So if you might have guessed, cp stands for copy. So I'm going to show you how you can copy file content from this location to another location, and also things which are in the same location. So that's what we are going to look at now, which is the cp command. Okay, so let's say, for example, in our first file, let's type in something. Okay, so in here we want to say this is my first file. This is my first file in Linux. So for example, that's the content that is in this file, right? So I'm going to do a Control S to just save that, and I'll close it. Okay, so I'll just save it and close. Okay, so now we know what is in this file right here. Okay, so I want to move whatever is in this file here. So whatever is in here, what is written in here, I want to go back here where it says text file.txt. That's why I want to paste that file content. So I want, this is my first Linux file to be exactly, or to be copied into this file here. So how can we do that? So this is also simple and also a bit tricky, so you just need to follow along. So clear the screen again. Okay, so ls to show whatever is in the file. Okay, so we'll start with something easy and then we'll go to the one I was just saying, okay, to make things easier. Okay, so here there's example and there's also study. Okay, so let's say for example we go back here and then we go in example. We'll use this first and then we'll just say this is an example. Okay, so this is an example. That's what is written in this example file. So we want to paste whatever is written in here into this itc study.txt. Okay, so as you can see, if I double click that now, that's empty, as you can see. Okay, so now the way we can do that using our terminal is also easy. Since these files are in the same directory or in the same location, this makes it very easy. Okay, which is cp, what am I copying? I'm copying example. Mind you, I have to copy it the way it is without the a. Okay, example dot txt, like that. Okay, I want to copy it to what? Space to the folder that I want now. So for example, cp, I'm copying example.txt to what file? So I want it to be, as you know, that has a space, the study has a space. So I'm going to wrap it in quotes and then I'm going to say itc space study dot txt, like that. If I press enter, as you can see here, nothing looks like has happened. I'll also show you how you can view file contents after this. Okay, so now if we go back here into our study, if we double click, you understand now it says this is an example, as you can see. So we've managed to copy the same information that was in another folder into this folder. So that was a quick way of copying things from one file to another if they're in the same directory. Okay, so if they're in the same directory, it's just a matter of saying cp the file name and space to what file. But now you understand, like, what if it's in a different location? So now we want to copy whatever is in this IT contents folder into this first file, as you can see, which says this is my first file in Linux, and we want to copy that file content into this text file.txt. So as you can see, the text file.txt here is also empty. So this is empty. So we are going to use that. So the first thing that we want to do here is simple. We want to go where the file is with the information. Okay. So for example, that file is in the ITC. So it's just a matter of saying cd itc enter ls. Now we have the file first file.txt, right? So we want to do this simple thing, just cp, okay, space, and then we want to type in first file.txt. Okay, so now this is now the tricky part. So we've said copy first file.txt, but we've not given it a destination. So this is where now we give it a full file path. So if the file is not in the same directory, we give it a full file path. So for example, it's a / and then what is the location? So where is the file going? Okay, so for example, I can do this home / ict / documents, then / what is the file name, where is it going? So we are now in documents, which is in this documents here. So what file do we want to put this information in? We want text file.txt. So I'll just write in text file.txt, like that. It's as simple as that. So like I said, if you don't know what the file path is, go to that file's directory and use the pwd command. It will give you a full path. You can just copy it and paste. Okay, So if I do enter now, as you can see, if we go now to our file, which is this text file, double click. Oh, sorry. So as you can see here, I made a mistake. Instead of text file, I wrote that. That's why here it's not showing anything. So we can run that again with the correct spelling. So this is why I said Linux is scan sensitive and we need to make sure we specify everything as is. So if I press enter now, as you can see the file is open, that's why it's not going to show anything. But as you can see, it's saying the file has been modified because it has found changes. So if I do reload, and as you can see, voila, we have this is my first file in Linux. As you can see, we copied one thing from one location to another location. So this is how you can copy files from different locations. So if your file is not in the same directory, so go to the file where the file you want to copy, cp that file, then specify the path where that file is going. So where is it being copied to what file? That's what you need to specify. So we recap again so that no one is left behind. The main commands that we've looked at in this second section is we looked at move. Okay, so that's what move is for, moving files from one location to another, or moving text, anything. You can name whatever you want to do. Okay, but also we've looked at cp, which means copy. Okay, so what are we copying? We're copying files from different location to the other. We looked at cd dot dot, and also you can also still add in another spice, which is / dot dot. So what that means is move 2 steps back. So if I press enter, you will see now we are in our home directory. Because we moved one step, we're in documents, another one step, we're in home directory. So that's what that is for. So depending on how many steps you want to take, you can just do a / dot dot again if you want to move 3 steps backwards. Okay, so we go back to our file. So we go back to our file here. So like we said, we'll be moving step by step. We are not in a rush. So I want to make sure that you understand everything you are seeing in this video. Okay, so we've also looked at the cp as well. So that is done. So we've got our list directory content, we've got our cd or change directory, we've got our pwd, which is print working directory. So whichever directory you are in, if I do pwd, press enter, as you can see I'm in the home directory, and that's my user. So that's the username after the home directory. Okay, then we've got our make directory, which is MKDIR, which we've looked at. If we use that if we want to create folders. Okay, then we've got our touch, which we use to create files on the terminal. Okay, we've got cp, which is copy file content or copy whatever you're copying. Then we also have move, which helps us to move files from one place to another. Okay, so for example, if I want to rename a file, okay, so one of the easiest ways you can do it, so let's cd into documents. Okay, so if we're in documents now, right? So if we want to rename this example, for example, the way it is here, the way I can do that is simple. I can just go the way it is. I can just say move exam x like that dot txt. Where am I moving it to? Space, and then I can just say example with the correct spelling like that, and I can just say enter. Now if we do an ls, you will discover we have got the example. And now if we open up example, so now this is where this nice command comes in. So cat means concatenate. So this is what we're going to look at now. So for example, we can use cat to see what is in this file here, which is text file.txt. So the way we can do that is using the same cat, which is concatenate, then text file dot txt like that, press enter, and as you can see, this is exactly what is in the file. We can double check, which is this text file. As you can see, this is my first file in Linux, and that's the same thing here. This is my first file in Linux. So that's how the cat works. So there's a lot of ways you can use cat for. So we're not going to cover all the ways in this video, but I'm going to create a second video where we'll be going into details with certain commands, because some of the commands have got extensions, or let's say options that you can use them with, like you saw with a ls-a, we showed you all. So most of these commands also have that. So that's how you can read file content, so by using the cat command. Okay, so the cat command will just help you view whatever is in a file, so it will just help you see what is the file contents. Okay, so now let's say we want to edit this same file, we want to add something to the file itself. How can we modify it, or how can we edit it from the terminal? Okay, so now this is where this cool thing comes in. Okay, which is, let me open our commands again. We've looked at cat. So here, which is nano or vim. Okay, so nano will be our text editor for this video, so I'm going to use nano to edit that file. So nano is our Linux terminal, let's say, file editor, okay, or text editor as we call it. Okay, so if we want to add something to this file here, which is this text file.txt, it's very easy. I can just type in nano like that, space, and then text file dot txt. So nano, then the file name that I want to edit. Okay, so I can press enter and you'll see it will open up a separate window. So as you can see, nano will open up this window, as you can see. So from here now, I can edit this file, whatever. I can add whatever I want to. I can do anything I want with this file. So as you can see, this is my first file in Linux. Okay, and I'm editing it right now. Okay, so as you can see, I've typed whatever I want to add to this file. Okay, I've typed whatever I want to add to this file. Then what I want to do, if I want to write to this file, I can just press Ctrl O. Okay, so if you press Ctrl and O on your keyboard, that will write to that file. Then you can press enter, as you can see. So the way it is here, I have saved the file contents. So if I want, I can now do Ctrl X, and as you can see, I'm out. So now if we do the same thing, if we cut the same file now like that, as you can see, and I'm editing it right now. So if I go back here on the same graphical user interface, same thing. The way we wrote it, that's how it is. So that's how you can edit a file using a terminal. So usually that's a nano text editor that we mostly use. It's the most useful one. Okay, you can also use Vim, which is the same thing as well, which is, for example, in the place of nano there, I can just use Vim, okay, which is like that, Vim, and then press enter, and as you can see, it is also the same thing. I can edit the file as well. If I want to, I can write to the file also. Okay, as you can see, I can edit the file as well. Okay, so this is also important. So that's how you can also use Vim. You can just call it Vim and then the file that you want to edit. So it's good to use. So now that you know how to use nano, okay, so like we said, nano, we just use that for editing. Okay, so we can edit text content, we can edit file content using nano. So nano is our terminal text editor. Okay, so again, if I cd documents, so like I said, nano will just help you view whatever is in a file. Okay, so for example, this is the way example.txt is, we can use that. But if a file name does not exist, what nano will do, it is going to create a file called whatever you're going to name it, then it is going to now add in the text that you want to add in. So for example, let's create that now. So we can do that, nano space, and then we want to say itc dot ssh, like that, press enter, and as you can see, if it sees that the file that I'm trying to edit is not there, to create a file called that, and then we can now do. So this is an example. So for example, this is an example. So in that file that is going to create, this is the content it's going to put in. So if I want, I can directly go with Control X. Then it will ask me, you've modified the file, do you want to save it? I can just press Y, and then I can press enter, and then as you can see, voila, we've got a file there, and it says this is an example. So this is important to understand, but as time goes by, you'll get the hang of everything. So as you can see, Nano is our text editor. We use it to modify file contents. Okay, hope that's clear. And again, like I said, if you're finding any challenges, leave all your challenges in the comment section. I'll surely answer all your questions. And also, if you're finding this video useful so far, I would love it if you click the subscribe button and also like the video so that I know that this video has helped you. Let's look at some of the other commands that we need to know. Okay, so we've looked at cat and we've also looked at nano. Okay, so now we've got these simple commands but also very useful. So here I'm going to show you not in the way the order are, but this will be the last one. Okay, so this will be the second last close to the exit. So right now we're going to look at history. So after history we're going to look at man, and then clear, then exit with that. Okay, so now from here, as you can see from here, so if we go to history, so if I bring my terminal here, and then here we go to history. Okay, what is history? So if we type in history, press enter, and as you can see, history will just give you all the commands you've been running in that current session. So like, what did I run? So for example, if you ran a very long command and you do not want to type it again, this is also one useful tool to use. So history, for example, the way we moved this to that, I would just go here and copy that like that, copy, yeah, then I can just click and say paste. Voila, I have the command exactly the way it was written using the history command. So the history command helps you to look for or to just find the commands that you are running and to see what have you been up to, what did you do, so that you know, oh, before this problem occurred, I ran this command, then that command, then this caused the issue, so that you know how to troubleshoot and how to find out what is the issue. So history is very important. So I love that. I love that too, or I love the command because it helps you find out if you messed up something, or it also helps you to find out if you're looking for a command that you did run in that current session. Okay, so that's all about the history command. Then we've got the most useful command, which is man. Okay, what man stands for is manual. So the manual for the command, like the instructions for the command. So for example, the way we've been using the ls command, right, ls, we can say man, which is we want a manual or we want the instructions on how to use the ls. Then you can just say ls and press enter. Let me make this screen big so that you see. And as you can see from here, you've got, this is the actual command. As you can see, list directory contents, so to show you whatever is in that file. So as you can see, you can read through all that, and as you saw, we use the -a option, or you can do --o, which means the same thing. Do not ignore entries starting with dot. So as you can see, do not ignore entries starting with dot. So meaning anything, like I said, with a dot is a hidden file. So I'm going to demonstrate how you can create a hidden file also. Okay, and also as you can see, there's also small letter a and capital letter A. These mean different things. Do not list implied, dot, and dot dot. Okay, so this will show you all the files themselves, but this command skips the dots. Then also you've got author. So here, this will just give you a lot of information. If you use the -l, which is the same thing as --author, then it will give you all the full information about that command. So you can still go through this command. I'm not going to go through each and everything here, but as you can see, this is just one useful command, as you can see. And if you're done reading about the command, it's just a matter of pressing Q on your keyboard and you're back to where you started. So okay, I'll clear the screen and I'll make it smaller again. So that's how you use this man. But some of the commands, For example, let me give you an example. Some commands do not have instructions. For example, like this old command cd. So if I say man cd, as you can see, no manual for entry for cd. So cd is one of the commands that doesn't have an instruction, but you can always use Google to check to find out more information about the cd command. So cd doesn't have, as you can see, but most of the commands, like 90% of all your commands that you're going to run, do have manuals, like do have instructions. So we've looked at the man, as you can see. So if you don't understand the command, just use this same command to understand what it says. So you use the man first, then the name of the command that you want to find out more information about, and then you're done. So we've also looked at history, and also we can just do a man for history like that. And as you can see, it also gives you information about the command itself and what you can use it for. And you can also add in certain spices and characters to look to find whatever you're looking for. So we're not also going to go in details with that, but we can still check out these other things in the next tutorial. Just let me know in the comment if you want to see that. Okay, again, like I said, if you're done reading, just press Q and then you'll be out. You did not see me use a clear, but you saw me clearing my terminal. It's because I was using a shortcut. Okay, so if I want to clear whatever is here, I want to have a clean terminal. The way I can do that is just typing the same word clear. As you can see, voila. So clear is just simple and straightforward. The what it says is what it does. Clear just clears your terminal. It just cleans up your terminal to be perfect, clean like this. Okay, and also I've been using, let me bring up something. Okay, I'll just be doing that. So for example, if you have a dirty terminal like this, you can still type in clear if you want to, or you can use a nice shortcut that I've been using the whole entire time, which is Control and L. So Control L will clear your terminal and it will leave it clean. So that's how I've been clearing my terminal this whole entire time. Okay, so now we are at our final pick, which is using our package manager. So package managers are different, like I said, depending on the type of distribution that you have. So here you've got Debian based distributions, like Ubuntu based distributions, where they use a package manager called apt. You've got Yarn, you've got DNF for, I think, Fedora, and you've got Pacman. So you've got different package managers depending on the distribution that you have. So usually, if you can't understand which package manager comes with your distribution, let's say whatever type of Linux that you have, it's just a matter of Googling what is a package manager for, let's say, Fedora, for example. What is a package manager for Linux Mint? So you can choose whichever way you want to phrase your question, but that's the question that you should be asking. What is a package manager for the distribution I'm running? Okay, so for this example, this package manager, as you can see, is using apt, and that is also something that you can easily find out yourself. So let me show you. So for example, if I go here, file, let's see, yeah, if I go here in new tab, click that. Usually if you open up your terminal, it's just that we've been using our terminal, but usually if you open up your terminal, especially if it's a new install, you'll discover at the top it will show you what is a package manager. Sometimes it will tell you, no, use Yarn or Pacman. It will show you the instruction like on top of the screen so that you understand what is your package manager to use. So for example, what these package managers are for, in Linux, you can either use a store, for example, like this store right here, so which is our software store. You'll be mostly using the terminal to install certain things. So for example, if I wanted to install, for example, GitHub, for example, if I wanted to install GitHub, I can either go through the process of maybe going through the graphical user interface if it's there, or you can just simply use the terminal itself to install it. So with Linux, you have a good advantage of it chooses what to install for you instead of you looking for, no, I'm looking for 32-bit, this type of a system. So whenever you use your package manager, it knows what is suitable for your hardware or for your system. Okay, so you don't need to worry about what version of what should I install. You can select the version you want to install, but like, no, it removes the worry from your hands, like how to choose, maybe going through options and selecting this and that. Okay, so the way you can use your package manager is simple, like we saw apt-get, for example, install then the package name. So it's as easy as that. So for example, apt-get, or I can use the way it is, like there where it says apt space install, and then I can say git like that. Then I can press enter. But now I do not have internet, so usually this will not work. So for example, the way this is, if I do this, we add our get dash get, so meaning if I don't have it, get it. So we could not open log file that from this permission denied. So as you can see here, it's complaining about permissions. It's because we've not used the sudo. So what sudo does, it allows us to run certain command as root. Okay, so for example, if I bring back the same command, but this time I put in sudo like that. So sudo, just take it the way you run things like run as administrator in Windows. This is something similar to that. Okay, so now if I press enter, it will ask me for your password. So your system has to have your password. So you have to put in that password right there and press enter. As you can see, this is exactly what you should start seeing. So it will start reading files and starting to install. But as you can see here, it did try to get set to manual install. Okay, so here, like, this is something similar that you are going to see. So it will start installing, it will tell you that it started installing, and if there's anywhere where it needs your user input, it will show you press yes or press no. And also you can just quickly press yes maybe a couple of times and then you install something. So this is just one easy way of using your package manager. So you just need to specify if it's something that needs sudo privileges. If it gives you a permission denied, you can use sudo, and also now you can specify, like for me, that's my package manager, but for you it can be yarn like that. So for you it can be different, so maybe it can be sudo yarn, maybe install git, for example. So for you it might be different, so whatever goes there might be different depending on the distribution, like I said, but the logic and the explanation is the same. They all do the same thing, which is install things for you on the terminal. Okay, so that was just a quick tip on that, but we can still look at it in details in the next videos. Okay, so if we go back here, as you can see, we've looked at this as well. So here, the only thing we've not looked at is this exit. So exit or logout to do like it's saying. So what it's saying there is this. So if I was to remove this, and then if I was to type in exit, press enter, and as you can see, our terminal is being closed and we are done for this section. So if you like the video, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and make sure that you hit notifications so that you know whenever I release a new video. And if you have a request or you have questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comment section. And also I'll make sure that I link useful resources to help you out in the description. See you in the next video.